6 months ago, a man sat in his doctor's office and got news that stopped him cold. He was 41 years old, and his doctor told him his body, his joints, his hormones, his cardiovascular system were functioning like those of a man nearly 30 years older. Not a little out of shape. Not just tired from work. Biologically, he was aging in the wrong direction. Fast. And the strangest part? He had no idea. He thought he was just busy, stressed, getting older the normal way. But there's nothing normal about what was happening inside his body. What happened next, though, that's the part I want to walk you through today. Because over the next 6 months, he followed a specific, science-backed protocol. And when he went back for his follow-up blood work, his doctor looked at the results and said she had never seen anything like it. His biological age had dropped by more than a decade. I'm going to show you exactly what he did. Every step, every pillar, and the one thing which we'll get to a little later in this video that was responsible for the majority of his results. It's not what most people focus on. And it might change the way you think about aging entirely. His name is Marcus, 41 years old, software engineer, 2 kids, works from home, which sounds like a dream, until you realize what that actually looks like in practice. Same chair, same screen, same posture, 10 hours a day. Lunch eaten at the desk, coffee to start the morning, more coffee to get through the afternoon. Sleep that never felt quite deep enough. And the kind of low-level exhaustion that doesn't hit you all at once, it just slowly becomes the background noise of your life. He told me, I kept waiting to feel like myself again. Like the version of me from my early 30s was just buried somewhere under the stress, the bad habits, the years of not quite taking care of myself. I kept thinking, okay, next month, I'll sort it out. Next month, I'll start. But next month kept becoming next month. I think a lot of people know exactly what he means. The wake-up call came during a routine physical, and what Marcus thought would be a standard checkup turned into one of those conversations that rearranges how you see things. His doctor pulled up his blood work and walked him through the numbers. His inflammatory markers, specifically his C-reactive protein levels, were dangerously elevated. His testosterone was in the range you'd expect from a man in his late 60s. His cortisol patterns were all over the place, which explained the brain fog, the broken sleep, the inability to lose weight no matter what he tried. And then she said something that stuck with him. She said, "Marcus, your calendar says you're 41. But your body is telling a different story." That was the moment. But here's where Marcus did something different from most people in that situation. He didn't panic buy supplements. He didn't sign up for some 30-day detox. He didn't download a fitness app and white-knuckle his way through 2 weeks before quitting. Instead, he spent 3 weeks talking to researchers, a longevity scientist at a university lab, a sleep biologist who had spent 15 years studying circadian medicine, and a metabolic physician whose entire practice focused on reversing biological age in middle-aged patients. He asked each of them the same question. If you had to reverse biological aging as efficiently as possible, not theoretically, but in a real person's real life, what would you actually have them do? What came back was a protocol, 5 pillars, specific, sequenced, and surprisingly simple. Not easy, but simple. And Marcus committed to it for 6 months. Before I walk you through what Marcus actually did, I want to spend just a couple of minutes on the science. Because once you understand this, the protocol makes complete sense. And more importantly, you'll understand why most people's approach to aging is pointed in the wrong direction. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your chronological age and your biological age are not the same number. Your chronological age is simply a count. How many times you've completed a trip around the sun. It goes in one direction, it never stops, and there's nothing you can do about it. But your biological age? That's a measurement of what's actually happening inside your cells, and unlike the number on your birth certificate, it can go down. Scientists measure biological age using something called epigenetic clocks. The most studied of these is called the Horvath clock, named after the UCLA researcher who developed it. It works by measuring chemical tags on your DNA, called methylation markers, that change in predictable ways as you age. Think of it like wear patterns on a road. The more traffic, the more visible the wear. What's remarkable is that these markers aren't fixed. They respond to your environment, to what you eat, how you sleep, how much you move, how well you manage stress. The lifestyle choices you make every single day are literally being written into your DNA, in real time. A study published in the journal Aging in 2021 showed that a group of men who followed a specific diet and lifestyle intervention reversed their biological age by an average of 3.5 years in just 8 weeks. That study has since been replicated. The results held. Marcus didn't do 8 weeks, he did 6 months, and he didn't stop at diet. Now, before I get into the protocol, I want to tell you something. Of everything Marcus changed over those 6 months, one pillar stood apart from the rest. His own data showed it was responsible for the largest single shift in his results. And when I tell you what it is, I think you're going to be surprised. Because it's not diet, it's not the gym. It's something that almost every doctor in the world tells you matters, but almost no one is doing it correctly. We'll get there. But let's start at the beginning. All right, here is the protocol. 5 pillars. I'll walk you through each one, what it is, why it works, and exactly how Marcus applied it. The first pillar is time-restricted eating. And before you scroll past this thinking you've heard it before, stay with me, because the reason this works is almost never explained correctly. Marcus stopped eating after 7 in the evening. He didn't eat again until 11 the next morning. That's a 16-hour fasting window every single day. No exotic foods, no calorie counting, no complicated rules. Just a window. Here's why it matters. During those fasted hours, specifically after about 12 hours without food, your body shifts into a repair state. It activates a cellular cleanup process called autophagy. The word literally means self-eating. Your cells start breaking down old, damaged, dysfunctional components and replacing them with new ones. It's your body's internal recycling system, and for most people eating 3 meals a day plus snacks, it almost never gets triggered. Within 4 weeks, Marcus noticed his energy had stabilized. The afternoon crashes stopped. The brain fog started to lift. He hadn't changed what he was eating yet, just when. The second pillar is cardio, but not the kind most people think of. Not high-intensity intervals. Not sprints, not anything that leaves you gasping on the floor. Zone 2 cardio, a pace where you're breathing harder than normal, but you could still hold a conversation if you had to. For most people, that's a brisk walk, a light jog, or an easy bike ride. Marcus did 45 minutes of this, 4 times a week. That's it. The reason this specific intensity matters comes down to your mitochondria, the tiny structures inside your cells that produce energy. Zone 2 training is uniquely effective at increasing both the number and in the efficiency of your mitochondria. And here's why that's anti-aging. Mitochondrial decline is one of the central drivers of biological aging. The more mitochondria you have, and the better they function, the more energy your cells produce, the better your organs work, and the slower you age at a cellular level. Marcus told me the first 2 weeks were hard. Not because the exercise was intense, but because he kept wanting to go faster. Once he committed to the slower pace, everything changed. Remember when I said there was one pillar that stood apart from everything else? The one responsible for the largest shift in Marcus's results? This is it, and it's sleep, but not simply getting more of it. Most people who try to improve their sleep focus on the hours. 8 hours, 9 hours. And while duration matters, what Marcus's sleep biologist told him was that the architecture of your sleep, the internal structure, the sequencing of sleep stages, is what actually drives biological repair. Here's the key thing to understand. In the first 90 minutes after you fall asleep, your brain cycles into its deepest stage of slow-wave sleep. And during that window, that specific window, Your pituitary gland releases the largest pulse of growth hormone your body produces all day. Growth hormone is your body's primary repair signal. It rebuilds tissue, burns stored fat, consolidates memory, and regulates cellular aging. It is, in every measurable sense, the most potent anti-aging compound your body makes naturally. And most people are destroying that window every single night without knowing it. Alcohol before bed suppresses deep sleep. Bright light after sunset delays your melatonin onset and pushes the whole sleep cycle back. And eating late, which ties back to Pillar 1, raises your core body temperature at exactly the wrong time, fragmenting your sleep architecture before the night even begins. Marcus made 3 non-negotiable changes. No screens after 9 in the evening, not less screen time, 0. Room temperature set to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temperature research consistently identifies as optimal for deep sleep onset. And he took a very specific dose of melatonin. Not 5 milligrams, not 10 milligrams, 0.3 milligrams, 90 minutes before bed. That dose, not the one on the label at the drugstore. 0.3 milligrams mimics your body's natural melatonin production. The higher doses most people take actually suppress your own production over time and leave you feeling groggy the next morning. Within 2 weeks of making these 3 changes, Marcus's wearable data showed his deep sleep had nearly doubled. The 4th pillar is protein, specifically the timing and amount of it. After the age of 35, your body becomes significantly less efficient at building and maintaining muscle from protein. The technical term is anabolic resistance. What this means practically is that you need more protein than you did in your 20s just to maintain the same muscle mass. And muscle is not just about how you look. It is metabolically active tissue that regulates blood sugar, supports hormonal health, and is one of the strongest predictors of longevity across multiple long-term studies. Marcus ate 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight every day, and he front-loaded it. His largest protein meal came at lunch, not dinner. This aligns with your body's circadian biology. Protein synthesis peaks in the daytime hours and declines in the evening. The sources he prioritized were straightforward: eggs, Greek yogurt, chicken, salmon, and a small amount of quality red meat twice a week for the iron and zinc. The 5th pillar is the one that sounds the most extreme and is actually the most straightforward to implement. 3 times a week, Marcus spent 20 minutes in a sauna, a dry sauna set to around 185 degrees Fahrenheit. Then he stepped directly into a cold shower for 2 minutes. No break, no gradual transition heat, then cold. This contrast triggers something called hormesis, a biological principle where a controlled short-term stress forces your body to adapt and become stronger. The heat activates heat shock proteins, which repair misfolded proteins inside your cells, one of the underlying mechanisms of aging. The cold exposure floods your system with norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter and hormone that reduces inflammation, sharpens focus, and significantly improves mood. Studies have measured norepinephrine increases of over 200% from just 2 minutes of cold exposure. Marcus said the cold shower never got easy, but what changed was how he felt afterward. He described it as feeling reset, mentally clear, in a way that lasted for hours. 6 months after he started, Marcus went back for the full panel blood work, hormonal assessment, and an epigenetic biological age test. His C-reactive protein, the inflammatory marker his doctor had flagged as dangerously elevated, dropped from 4.8 milligrams per liter down to 1.3. That's a 73% reduction. His testosterone went from 287 nanograms per deciliter, the low end of what you'd see in a 70-year-old man, to 634 more, then doubled. And his biological age, which had tested at 51 when he was a 41-year-old man tested at 38. His doctor sat with those results for a long moment, and then she said, "I have been practicing medicine for 22 years. I have never seen a panel shift like this." He had not taken a single prescription, no hormone replacement, no experimental therapy. 5 pillars, 6 months consistently. The thing Marcus said to me that I keep coming back to is this. He said, "I did not do anything heroic. I did not go to a clinic. I did not spend a fortune on supplements or treatments. I just stopped doing the things that were aging me fast, and I started doing the things that biology has always rewarded. And I did them every day, even when I did not feel like it, especially when I did not feel like it." That is the part that does not make the headlines, the consistency. The quiet, unglamorous repetition of the same 5 things week after week. No hacks, no shortcuts, just the fundamentals applied with patience. What I find most striking about his story is that nothing he did was new. Time-restricted eating zone 2 cardio quality, sleep adequate protein heat, and cold exposure scientists have been publishing research on all of these for years. The knowledge has always been there. What Marcus did was take it seriously enough to actually apply it, and at 41, with a biological age, now younger than most 35-year-olds, he would argue that was the most important decision of his life. If you want the full breakdown, every pillar, every number, every timing detail, I've put it together as a free 1-page reference guide. You'll find the link in the description below, and if this video gave you something worth thinking about, subscribing is the best way to make sure you don't miss what's coming next. Because next week, I'm going to cover something that surprised even me, a food that most people eat specifically because they think it's healthy. That research now shows may be one of the fastest drivers of biological aging we know of. That video is in the link below. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching True Health Tales. If this helped you, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next truth.